What's up, guys? All right, another day, another dollar, another chance to teach some folks some stuff. So I guess I felt like that was low enough. It is not. All right. So this morning I've not been blinded by the light. I've been shown the light, and the light says share your knowledge with the world. So that's what I'm doing. All right. This is part 2. This is a continuation of yesterday's video. If you've not seen it, go back and watch it. I'm gonna pretty well give all information again. So, I mean, it's not the end of the world if you don't watch the other video, but there were some funny things in the other video, and I may miss some things. So it would behoove you to go check out the other video. All right, so just want to get a real good look at this. I sprayed it down with brake clean, just a quick degreaser. You can see big flat spot in it there. We got the line shaved off at the top, but the line's still there. And you can see by the reflection of the light, this thing isn't very, it's not perfectly round. It's kind of, it's almost blocky-ish. And let's see how, I don't know if that's gonna pick up or not, but there are like stress cracks down at the bottom. Oh, come on. This is why sometimes I need something different than an action camera to do this. I don't think that's gonna pick up. Oh. And very hard to see. I may, oh, I guess what it was, well, because I can't see them as easy now either. I guess what it was is there was a bunch of grit and grime in the cracks. So once I cleaned those out, they didn't want to stand out as much. So that's probably what it is. But we'll go over stress cracks or just aluminum cracks later. Usually those are just on the surface and you can sand through them. We will go through that here in a minute. All right, so yesterday we kind of just went over the basics about a little bit about shaving certain things off and that kind of stuff. I'm going to give a quick rundown. If you have this part sitting at your house, an aluminum part, bare metal, this came off of a 240, but I mean, just about every engine's got something on it aluminum that you can polish. And I know some people have looked at engine bays and be like, damn, that thing is shiny as shit. That's pretty dope. I'd like to do that myself. Well, here's your chance how to learn how to do that. All right, so we're gonna get you set up, and I will try to do things accordingly. All right. So, first grit that I start out with, because if it's really smooth to begin with, you don't really have to start with 80. I start with 80, especially if I'm having to shave things and things aren't perfectly smooth. It gets it rounded quicker. Also, you don't want to polish on this top layer. I guess I should be in front of the camera, huh? You don't want to polish this front layer. It's got a bunch of divots and stuff and pores and stuff like that. You want to kind of break the surface off a little bit. So, I mean, you're literally... Now, obviously, I don't want to sit here and sand just like this without moving this hand. If I sit here in just this direction, I'm going to wear a flat spot in it. So when I'm doing a curve, I need to just kind of slowly rotate the piece back and forth like it's on a rotisserie. This will make it to where every little swipe gets a slightly different angle and it'll curve it. That's not the best direction to do this type of curve. This would be probably the better way. Now, I'm not gonna, this piece right here, just this little piece right here would still probably take me an hour or two, so I'm not gonna make you sit through that. So what we're gonna do is, we're just gonna focus on this main back section. I'm going to show how we can get rid of the line. We'll talk about that a little bit later on in the video, the little nub. We'll finish getting it off as well, but I want to focus just kind of on this stretch right here. I'm going to run through the grits real fast, and then I can show you how to do it with power tools to make this a little quicker if you have power tools. The finish isn't really going to be that distinguishable. Now, the final polish, you're going to have a machine. Trying to rub polish this shit with hand, from experience, I can tell you it does not work as good. It's not going to get it as shiny. It's not going to look the way you really want it to. It's not going to look like the shit that you see on my videos. Like, not bragging too much, but like if you don't do it with a polisher that I'll show you at the end of the video, or a polisher attachment. I thought I had it up here, yeah. A polishing attachment on a die grinder. If you just try to do this with a microfiber towel and polishing compound, it's gonna look good. It's just not gonna look as good as if you did it with a polisher. I think the Harbor Freight polisher that I will show you at the end of the video is like $45. It's not expensive. So first grit, we're gonna go to 180, or we're gonna go to 80. And since I'm gonna show you doing it the right way, these grits will move really quickly. I'd like to kind of do a section real quick by hand and then show kind of what it would be like if you did it with power tools, because obviously it's gonna go a lot faster. Okay, so I can look at it and all the scratches look really uniform. I'm not seeing a lot of cross hatches from wear on it before. You kind of got it down to where all I see is the scratches that I'm making. That means you're ready to go to the next one. So that's 80. I'll take my 180 roll here. You can do these on circle pads, big sheets that you fold or cut. I mean, it's just sandpaper. This is not anything special. All right, so all we'll do is we'll go back over the 80 grit scratches with the 180. And I don't know how well it's gonna pick up, but me sitting here, I can still see the 80 grit scratches in it, which means I've not got them all out, which means I need to continue. You either need to rotate the piece or rotate your sanding hands, or both. Just don't just stay in a constant angle or you're gonna wear a flat spot in it. And then once you mirror polish it, the light's gonna bounce off that flat spot and it's gonna look stupid. So don't do that. Make sure that you're rotating the piece or rotating your hand or the power tool, whatever you're using. Something needs to get rotated, all right? Rotate that shit. All right, I'm only seeing 180 grit scratches in this area. I'm gonna come a little bit higher up on it real quick. I mean, you are rubbing sandpaper on metal. And you're doing it in stages. And the funny thing that you'll see is, by the time we get up to 2000 grit, it'll almost look like it's polished without touching it with a polisher. It'll get so reflective on its own. So, let me see if I can get in front of the camera and see how well this is gonna pick up. All right. Line we were talking about. And you can still kind of see it, but it's fading out. But all the scratches now are 180 scratches. I have gotten all 80 grit scratches out. Now here's the thing. Let's say I missed an 80 grit scratch, I didn't see it. Well, by the time you get all the 180 grit scratches out with the next grit up, which I'm gonna use 320, by that time, since all sandpaper is abrasive, it's going to go that level. It's just gonna take a little longer. So I'll reach over here, grab some 320. Wait, I got 320 on a roll. It's easier to use this stuff. It bends flatter. It doesn't have the sand dust pores in it, so. Wait, that's 180. I need to go to 320 first. Sorry about that, guys. I knew that sounded like a big gap. So 80, 180, 220. Go back to our spot. Rotate the piece slowly like it's a rotisserie chicken. Anybody can do this. Like obviously you're not gonna see the whole finished product of this little water neck, but by the end of the video, by the end of a 10 to 15 minute video, where are we at? Oh, we're already at 10 minutes. I may have to do some editing, but by the time you get to the end of it, you're gonna be like, holy shit. I can just go out to my garage and pick pieces off my car and make them all shiny and shit. Yeah, you can. That's what I'm here to show you. So once you get to this stage, the grits start going through each other a good bit easier. Slowly rotating the piece. Come up a little higher, get those scratches up there. And the line will pretty much be gone by the time I did this. This isn't a really heavy line to shave, and I'm not trying to shave it right now. what I found is the shaving and the actual like carving of the metal to get it. That's the thing about that VH45, that spider looking intake. Those tubes coming off were not round to begin with. I had to round them. They had like ridges in them and all types of shit, and you wouldn't notice by looking at the final product, but those bars were not round. So what I found was, if I got the whole thing to the right grit, I could polish it up in 45 minutes. The polishing isn't really the hard thing. It's the sanding it down smooth enough to polish. Rotating the piece. Now, I'm only seeing 220 scratches. Looks extremely uniform. And you can see how this piece is already like, I mean, this is one that's been sitting around and was polished originally, but I mean, you can start to see it's, all right, let's take a look at the other side that we haven't done anything to. Ugly, nice. And that's only 320. So I will grab my 400. Folderize it. I don't have any actual, I consider that block paper. It's meant to go on blocks to sand primer and sand color coat and things like that. I don't have any block paper of 400, so I will use this folded in half sheet of DA paper, which is fine. It's still 400 grit sandpaper. There's nothing different about it. It was just meant to go on a different type of tool. Still see some 320 scratches. But the thing I like about this so much is just instant gratification. We've been here 10 minutes and this thing already looks really good. And I could take it right now at 400, throw it over there on the polisher, and you'd be really surprised how it comes out looking. But we don't want to stop at 400. If you're gonna mirror polish something, mirror polish it. Make it look really good. Make it something that you'd be proud to show somebody. When somebody sees it in your engine bay, damn, where'd you buy that? Nah, buddy, I didn't buy it. I made that shit. All right, so that's 400. I think I have some 600 around here somewhere, but I'm gonna try to jump straight to 8. I don't know how well it's gonna work. I may have to put it on my DA. A DA will make a higher grit sandpaper work as good as a lower grit, but it looks like it's cutting this fairly well. Now the black stuff you're noticing is actually aluminum dust, and turns a black color once you sand on it. Almost all the 400 grit scratches are done already. Like I said, once you get into these higher grits, it really starts to move fast. Man, y'all, this thing is gonna come out so fucking clean. All right, that's 800. You can already start to see reflection, and that's at 800. Oh, y'all are in for a freaking treat. All right. That's 2,000. I thought I had a 1,000. All right, so I guess we're gonna make another big gap. We're gonna go from, now you can start to use water at this point, because now these are foam pads. These are great. These Norton foam pads are the shit. Other sandpapers will just come as kind of a paper, and if you dry sand with them, they cake up really fast and they become useless. Well, this foam kind of eats the sand, the dust up a little bit, and it allows you to use it better dry. So I'm able to use this one dry, and it's still pulling those 800 grit scratches out just fine. Now you may be able to start to see, whoops, those cracks I was talking about. Oh, yep. They're really hard to pick up on camera. You kind of got to oscillate the light and make it dip off in there, but you can sand through them. It's just, that's the top layer kind of just oxidized and broken up over time. You can just sand them to where they're flat, and they'll just literally disappear. It's just the top layer. This thing's fairly thick. This thing's probably at least 2 or 3 millimeters thick. You're not you're not gonna burn through it. You're just not going to. So, about done with the 1500. Again, I could take it right now to the polisher. Now you can start to see even more reflection. Run off to, where'd you go? 2000. Now at this point, like your sanding kind of motion doesn't matter as much because you're not gonna wear a hole with 2000 grit sandpaper. You wouldn't be able to afford to wear a hole with 2000 grit sandpaper. You would spend your life earnings and not get 1/100th of the way through it. Look at that. Look at that. Now watch this shit. Watch this shit. All right, here's the fun part of polishing. This is where you get to take your hard work, because obviously I've just done one side of that, and this isn't a very big piece. So had you been doing this for 200 to 300 hours like I did on the VH45 intake, you'd be really happy to get to this step. So here is my Harbor Freight polisher. You got a loose wheel on the one side, a little bit tighter of a wheel on the other. This is a little bit more aggressive, this is less aggressive. I have two types of compound. I don't know where the other one is right now. They sell it in 3s at Harbor Freight. It's a white, it's a black, and it's a red. White is the highest grit, like the highest polish. Red is the next, and then black is kind of like if you really need to get some material off. I mean, you're not gonna just sit there and run through aluminum, but I'm not gonna. That's my drain hose. Like black hose in my mouth. Anyway, all right, so I'm not gonna spend a lot of time looking for this other compound. It's not gonna matter. We brought it to 2000, so it's just not necessary. So this is Rouge is what they call it, and you would just let the buffer kind of break your hand, and you just kind of let it warm up on there, and it will transfer over. All right, here is the fun part. Switch over to this hand. Sorry, guys. All right. Now, you want to hold on to this shit really fucking well. If you're doing a knife, even more well, because this thing will take it and it will sling it from you. Anybody can do this. I'm trying to polish over some of the areas that still only have like 80 grit in it, or maybe even none at all, just to kind of give you a difference on camera. If you take the extra mile and go to 2000 or even 3000, I should have went to 3000. I have some inside, but I don't need one of these polished. I have like 4 of them. So wham bam, thank you ma'am. That would look good in your engine bay. And we did this in 18 minutes. 18 minutes with a lot of jabber jawing. Look at it. Look at it. Would you just look at it? Would you just look at it? Let's run off into the sunlight real quick. Sorry, camera. Adjust, adjust. Now I can't see, but it'll pick up on camera. Yes, sir. So that's 2000. I could have went to 3. I could have used the other polish and this polish. I could take it back to the buffer and even bring it out some more. This just gives you an idea that anybody can do this. I did this with like a $45 polisher and some hand sandpaper that you can get at Walmart. Anybody can do this. Anybody. Watch this video, you can polish things. Peace!